asking what's the difference between CYD24 and CYD14 or 15. That's the 15 will be given by Dr. Nalaya. I just want to mention here that the sample size of the 2B CYD23 based on the assumption the vaccine efficacy more than 0. But for the CYD14, assumption based on the vaccine efficacy more than 25%. So the sample size is larger. So these are the countries that involved in this trial, including Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and the Philippines. Philippines account for the majority of the participants. So altogether, 10,600 participants were screened, and 10,275 were randomized. But however, with various dropout in between, we had altogether 6,800 received vaccines and 3,400 received placebo, that's the control. And per protocol analysis, we have 6,710 in the vaccinees and 3,350 in the placebo group. The demographic data, the mean age is around 8.8 years. And take a note here that the majority, about 67.6%, has the baseline anti-dengue infection. And the anti-JE seroprevalence was 52%. And the seroprevalence for the flavivirus, 78% for the total. So when we look at the primary endpoint, the efficacy as shown here, that when we look at the intent to treat, that is in the orange or yellow, is 54.8%. And in the per protocol analysis was slightly higher, 56.5%. And when we look at the prevalence, the incidence of the total of the dengue cases reported in this study, the total cases detected is 595, okay, and divided into various serotypes. When we look across various countries, Thailand, so in Thailand, during the 1 year of the active surveillance, the majority was serotype 2, similar to Indonesia. But however, in Malaysia, is nearly equal of the 4 serotypes. And the Philippines, I forgot to point out that the majority was serotype 4. So when we look at the subgroup analysis for each serotype, for the dengue 1 is the efficacy around 50%, for the dengue 2 around 35%, and dengue 3 78.4%, and for the dengue 4 around 75.3%. What I read here is all the per protocol analysis. So when we look at the critically important reduction in severity of the disease and hospitalization, I think it's very important. It's important to look at the vaccine efficacy in terms of lessened severity. So these vaccines show in the subgroup analysis show that the vaccine efficacy against dengue hemorrhagic fever cases of 88.5%, with the confidence interval of 58 to 97.9. And for the hospitalized cases was 67.2. and with a confidence interval of 50 to 78, so it's quite high. And when we look at closely with the age group and the serology at baseline, we found that this slide shows the proportion of naive versus immune anti-dengue subjects by age group. So noted here that the higher the baseline of the against the dengue infection, the higher the efficacy. The same thing that the vaccine appear to be higher in terms of efficacy in a higher age group. Okay, so in summary, this slide shows trends for variable efficacy by age. And age is a biologically plausible surrogate for baseline dengue immune status. In terms of safety, side pain was the most common solicited reaction reported, around 30% in both groups. The majority were mild, appeared within 3 days, and disappeared also within 3 days. The solicited systemic reaction, malaise was the most common reported symptom, around 30%, 29 to in the vaccinees and 23 in the control. And altogether, 647 reported serious adverse events. There were no difference between the two groups, and no immediate hypersensitivity reported, no case of visceral tropic or neurotropic disease. So in summary, the CYD tetravalent manufactured by Sanofi Pasteur appeared to be safe, moderately efficacious, with 81% reduction in risk of severe dengue infection. However, many questions remain to be answered. It is necessary to do long-term follow-up to assess duration of protection, to assess long-term safety, and also to assess the impact on the dengue transmission. The second point of concern is what is the epidemiology threshold of the dengue activity upon which the national dengue vaccination program are justified, and the cost effectiveness of the program, as the vaccine is probably not going to be inexpensive and should only introduced in a high-risk group or in a higher age group with a highest vaccine efficacy. So these are the questions, and maybe some other more questions remains to be answered. Finally, I would like to acknowledge and thanks especially for the participants and community of the Kampang Phet and Ban Pong and Potharam, the AFRIMS Virological Unit, Sanofi Pasteur, Faculty of Tropical Medicine, Mahidol University, Ministry of Public Health, and Kampang Phet, Ban Pong, and Potharam hospitals, and especially for all the due diligence staff of Kampang Phet, Ban Pong, and Potharam, and including Ajahn Sirax and all senior staffs that are sitting around here. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor. I think we have time for 2 or 3 questions. Please, our comments. Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to ask, why do you think the efficacy against dengue 2 is so low, very low compared to the other ones? Is there a particular reason for the way the vaccine is made, or the conformation, or is there any explanation for this?
Yes, I think it's, we are investigating. So I think in the future, we can tell you more about this. But only noted that the strain that collected maybe many years ago. But however, there may be other reason that Sanofi now is investigating as well. So you will learn more in the future. Yes.
Thank you for a nice talk. In the beginning, you showed us a very beautiful slide of the distribution of dengue virus around the world. But it looked like in the vaccine, so you showed dengue in North and Central America, South America, Africa, and Asia. But then when you showed us the vaccine, it looked like there were no vaccine participants in Africa. Do you think that the vaccine will have similar efficacy in that population, or could it be different?
We do not know, but so far, the other vaccine that has been tested, for example, the human papillomavirus vaccine, or the other vaccine, HIV vaccine, for example, has been tested both in African countries and Asia. It appeared to be similar in terms of immune responses. Especially the HIV vaccine. So, if this vaccine proved to be safe and efficacious, maybe a bridging study, occurred in various countries that have not yet done, because it may be necessary for licensure in the future. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Punnee. Next speaker is the Major Doctor